think it is a very welcome development. It reflects, a lowering of temperature on the US side. We must still be cautiously optimistic about it because this is a first step. One, President Trump is often prone to changing his views, and that also on social media. Pretty frequently, he can, swing wildly from appreciation to criticism. There is tariffs in place even as we speak, and that needs to be factored into this. Because the real test will come when we deal with this very strong issue. But I think there is also a recognition in the United States that India and this administration, that India is not the country and this government is not going to compromise on its core interests under relentless US pressure, or that it is going to in some way bend or, submit to the US demands in a way that compromises our core national interest.
Hello, sir. Thank you for joining ANI right now. And my first question to you is, sir, Mr. Trump has finally now given some good gesture to the PM, and PM has also reciprocated. Do you see this as a move forward or a step forward in coming closer to some kind of a deal or some softening up?
Well, I think it is a very welcome development. It reflects, a lowering of temperature on the US side. Of course, President Trump has been, and his cabinet colleagues, as well as his advisors, have been using very disparaging tone and some very corrosive language on almost a daily basis, besides the punitive tariffs that they have imposed. But President Trump has always been very careful about Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, that even in that heat of the moment or when he was using his most aggressive and corrosive language, he was careful to say that, Prime Minister Modi is great, he's special. And I think he's reciprocal. He has reaffirmed that today. But he's also said something nice about the relationship, that it is a special relationship and we needn't worry about it. And I think that is a positive development. In addition to this, the last few times, this references to the cessation of India-Pakistan conflict or to the arrogation of credit for it has been missing. The focus has been essentially on Russian oil purchases by India as the source of the difference. So I think there has been a gradual softening of the tone. Today, we've seen something that was positive. And I think this is, we must still be cautiously optimistic about it because this is a first step. One, President Trump is often prone to changing his views, and that also on social media. Pretty frequently, he can, swing wildly from appreciation to criticism. You've seen that in the case of Russia. You've seen that in Ukraine, even some of his closest allies, Europe, for example. So I think that is something we need to bear in mind. This is a step forward. Second, we still have to recognize that there is tariffs in place even as we speak, and that needs to be factored into this. Because the real test will come when we deal with this very strong issue. Remember, on our side, on the Indian side, throughout this very difficult period, we have been factual and restrained in our comments. We have been ready, always indicated openness, flexibility, and willingness for negotiations to address the issues while being consistent, transparent, and principled about our red lines, whether it pertains to our trade issues or whether it is about our sovereign choices with regard to the relationships that we have with other countries. So I think we have maintained that position, and the Prime Minister has, rightly reciprocated what President Trump has said, and has done that also, remember, in a very restrained but a positive manner. It is indicative of the fact that there is no quarrel on our side. That is really for the United States to resolve this. And some of this is not just the result of, as people assume, the viral photo of the three leaders the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, President Xi Jinping, and President Vladimir Putin in that huddle in Tanjing, that has gone viral globally. And in the United States, which is used to seeing the world in either you are with us or against us, that is these always these neat binaries, I think it did raise a lot of concern across the media, across the political establishment in the U.S. Congress and among the experts about the fact that U.S. might be losing India, and that the relationship that has been so strenuously built over the past 25 years may be collapsing. That's one part of it. But I think there is also a recognition in the United States that India and this administration, that India is not the country and this government is not going to compromise on its core interests under relentless US pressure, or that it is going to in some way bend or submit to the US demands in a way that compromises our core national interests. Once that recognition sets in, I think there will be a far more sober approach to us. And as we have said before, we remain open to negotiations. We have made an ambitious offer to the U.S. On trade, and we still stand by our commitments in February 2025 when the Prime Minister visited the United States. So it is really for the U.S. to resolve some of its own internal contradictions with regard to how it wants to deal with India.
Javed so what has pushed Trump to say all this? Do you think it's actually the viral photo, or is it the kind of internal inner voices from America which are now saying that we should not lose India to
Yeah,
China at
so
least?
so so this is the two things I said. One is that over the course of let's say the last few weeks, despite grave concerns here about the collapse of the India-U.S. relations, the language, the tone in which President Trump and others were speaking, or the expectations that the administration may have had, many of whom have no experience of dealing with India in the past, that India, like some of its other allies or partners, which in a sense made intense compromises and reached one sided deals that was in favor of the United States, that India may follow in the same on the same path. But we have, in a sense, held firm about our red lines, about our interests. But at the same time, we've not been confrontational. We have not tried to use any assertive or acerbic language with the US. We've always indicated our willingness to negotiate. So I think there is a realization dawning in this government also, and it is a new government with a new set of people, that India is a partner, but not an ally that it can order around. And
Sir,
that India wants a strong partnership with the United States, but a partnership of respect, of mutual, of dignity, and based on a very broad range of mutual interests.
sir, as you mentioned that a lot of his colleagues are still making wrong noises or saying
Well, I
nasty
hope they take,
things.
yes, I hope they take the cue from the president and start toning it down, because, their commerce secretary was speaking a very, very tough language. But I think, again, he's one of those who has not dealt with India in the past. This lack of experience in dealing with India at the start of this administration, with many people who have no prior experience in this country or having dealt with us, believe that we will respond in the same way as, let's say, some of the European or other Asian allies or partners have done, and that they're soon going to realize that's not the way India works, and certainly not the way this government is going to respond to any amount of pressure when it comes to protecting the national interest of its sensitive sectors, and the sovereign choices we always exercise in terms of our relationship with other countries. So maybe that's sobering in.
Javed is it not the classic case of good cop, bad cop?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. That these are early days. We still have to wait and watch. But we have seen in this statement and some of the statements that have been made in the past few days a definite lowering of temperature, of moderation of voice, and temperate, more temperate language or less intemperate language being used. And we take that as a positive sign. But we still are conscious of the fact that the reality on the ground is that there is still a 50% tariff on Indian products, 25% as
So nothing
reciprocal
else
tariff.
actually changed. It's just a statement, basically.
Yes. So you have to, these things had reached a level from where we are sort of rebuilding this. And I think that even with regard to the India-Pakistan issue, I think these are again a set of new people who are dealing with those who have a long history of dealing with India in the United States will always remember that India has always rejected third party mediation or role in any relationship or any issue between India and Pakistan.
But how do you look at Prime Minister's reciprocal approach today? He immediately tweeted back.
Well, that's a very good gesture. I mean, again, what we are showing is that we don't have any issues with the United States in terms of. I mean, throughout this period, we have not had any confrontational tone. We've not spoken in aggressive language. We've not joined a war of words from the government. We have acted with restraint and calmness. We have repeatedly affirmed the importance of this strategic partnership while emphasizing that our partnership will be conducted taking into account our national interests. And so when President Trump sends out a message, which is both a personal message to the Prime Minister and a broader statement about the special relationship, I mean, from a dead economy to a special relationship, without again bringing in the India-Pakistan issue, it is it is good of us, and it is, I think, the correct thing to do is to reciprocate that. But this is again, the statement is not sort of very euphoric. It doesn't go over the top. It is calm. It is measured. It recognizes the positive and constructive partnership of India and the United States, and it says that we are willing to move forward.
My last question, sir. So now what happens with Russia and China?
I think, again, I want to emphasize this point. Indians and India need to get out of this mindset that either we have to be in one camp or we have to be in another camp. We are not a small, weak country that needs these crutches in our external relationships. We are a country that can stand in our corner, act in accordance with our values, our principles, and our interests, and have the capacity to conduct our relations with not just major powers, but even if they have differences among themselves, but that we will deal with each relationship on the strength of its merit. And it is true of every relationship that we have. We never act against one country for another country or on behalf of one country against another. We have always been transparent, consistent, and in a sense clear about where we stand, and we work in a positive the positive agenda with each country. It is important for India, and throughout this period, if you notice, US Russia relations or West relations with Russia have always been fraught, even before the Ukraine war. There was pressure on us not to buy the S 400 with threats of secondary sanction cuts. We stood our ground. The United States relented, and we could
Same
pursue
thing
that
happened with the
relationship.
oil.
The same thing is happening with oil. With China, we've had a very difficult relationship. It is our principal geopolitical, economic, and security challenge. Our challenges exist at the bilateral level, the regional level, and at the global level. But it is also a country that is our largest neighbor. It is a major power. It is an industrial powerhouse. It is a technological leader in the industries of the 21st century. It has made inroads in our neighborhood. Now, we're not saying that we are going to deal with China with naive illusions or with disregard to our history or to the formidable challenges. But it is equally important for India to try and inject a degree of stability in that relationship. You cannot live in a state of heightened tension and active conflict with a major neighbor, that is China, and that we must try to ensure peace and stability and tranquility along the border, stability in our relationship, and look for opportunities to expand cooperation in a meaningful manner or mutually beneficial manner, which serves our largest objective, the most important objective of national economic transformation and achieving the status of Viksit Bharat in 2047. But we do this aware of the challenges. But this will continue to a path that we will pursue. Russia relationship will remain and has always been a time tested and a steadfast partnership. And we will continue on the path of this rapid transformation we've had with the United States. And I must tell you that over the past 25 years, and I've dealt with the United States for a better part of my career in the service, we've had many challenges, sometimes very difficult ones, but our two countries have always found a way to navigate through these challenges because we recognize that this is a unique partnership. It is not that we are allies, but we are aligned. And that there is a larger purpose of mutual economic and security benefits, and that working together we can advance a larger international order that is our shared interests.
So the crux, what you are saying is, be cautious. It's just a first step, and Trump is a erratic person. He can change his views very quickly. This is the crux.
Yes, cautious, but it is again, I would say cautious, but remain positive, open, flexible. We are self-assured country. We are not panicking. We are not in a state of, I mean, we are conscious of the severe economic impact it has on some of the most sensitive sectors of the economy, which is why the government is ready to continue with negotiations to achieve a mutually beneficial solution. Having said this, if we come back to a normal relationship with the United States and continue, being the friends that we have, partners that we have been, it doesn't mean once again that we have again forgotten about Russia, or that we will not try to normalize our relations with China.
So if I can put it simply, in our media parlance, do you think in India-US relation the worst is over?
I wouldn't say that their worst is over because we still have to work on the tariff issues. And, they have staked out a very strong position on tariffs on Russian oil. And we have what we are doing with Russia is not just about our energy interests or defense interests. It's also crucially tied to our geopolitical interests and above all to our strategic autonomy and sovereignty as an independent nation, and and how the United States reconciles itself to this is for the United States to resolve. But India, as I said, we value this relationship with the United States, its diversity, its depth, its breadth, and its range is extraordinary. It serves a large number of our objectives, and therefore we will continue to pursue this. And but it will be something that we still have to work through because there are some hard issues to resolve and move forward on.
शुक्रिया सर हमसे बात करने के लिए.